Mike Lind, Memorial League, Week 4, Power Rankings. Brought to you by Facebook.com. Here to remind you that billionaires can have bad weeks too. All right, guys. Welcome, Week 4. Let's jump right in and take a look at the results. Team Man Gravy spreads the sauce around on Sternrake, 79-47. Tuckfest shows no mercy and thumps weapons of Matt's distraction. Nice name, not? 84-48. Finally getting in the win column and doing the tuck dance in front of Matt. Seen your ass doesn't even break a sweat and cruises to victory over Homies, 61-41. Tommy's Terminators gets back in the win column, beating up on Juchi's Giant Jocks, 80-65. Stunt Cock shows Mova Thrill what happens when you draft a good team, 62-44. And finally, yesterday's corn is winless no longer, beating former MVP Power 65-54. The league average 61 points. All right, starting to take shape. Still a heck of a lot of teams sitting at 3-1, and only one winless team, although he's had some bad luck in the process. Should be a fun couple weeks here as these standings start to take shape. So what does the site think? Well, here you go. It's interesting to me that the site thinks that Mike has the second best roster in the league. All right, let's go straight to the definitive and unquestionable power rankings. Number 12, Weapons of Matt's Distraction. Nice name, not. Sitting at 0-4. Actually, I thought about keeping you higher, but 0-4 is 0-4. And your team is being punished by your decision to keep Brandon Ayuk. Thank you for doing that, because if you hadn't, I would have taken him in the first round if he was there. So, man, that stinks for you. Edwards-Helaire goes from good week to back to having a mediocre week. On a positive note, Zeke has been very good. It looks like Michael Carter now has the job solely to himself in that Jets backfield. I think you have enough depth at wide receiver to survive Ayuk being terrible. And if Joe Mixon can stay on the field on third down, assuming he's healthy at all this week, he should produce for you, but maybe it's time to go to a 3 wide receiver lineup. 354 points against too. That's 50 more than anybody else. That's just bad luck. I hope you enjoy aged meats, namely salami. Oh, I forgot to call out the salami from last week. I'll go back before the end. Number 11, Tuckfest. 1-3. I guess AJ Brown not being a long-term injury, that's good. Najee Harris continuing to suck up all the targets in that terrible Pittsburgh offense. Dak distributing the ball, lots of touchdown passes. Tyreek goes nuts. That's all good. But then the rest of the roster, I don't know. I don't know who your second best wide receiver is, or third best wide receiver is, and you need a third best wide receiver because AJ Brown is consistently hurt. I don't know. 88 points is a lot. Was it you that got the salami? Let's just go back and look real quick. It it was a Tuck Fest salami. 0-4 to salami? Has that been done before? I don't know. Number 10, former MVP Power. 2-2, same story. I mean, I feel like a broken record. Mahomes, congratulations. Patrick Mahomes is unparalleled. He's elite. 5 touchdowns. That's great. The rest of this roster is no, it's not good. I'm sorry. And Julio's hurt now too. So I don't mean to be Mr. Negative, but I'm not seeing it. So I hope Mahomes can throw 5 touchdown passes every week. Number 9, Stern Rake. Sitting at 2-2. The good news is Christian McCaffrey's coming back soon. Justin Herbert finally got multiple touchdowns, 3 touchdowns last week and 3 the week before. Like, he's rolling. That pick is looking better. He's been playing well the whole season, but it's turning into more fantasy results now. Obviously, Jefferson and Adams are continuing to rip. Zach Moss might be someone that you can count on. Outside of that, yeah, not so much. Number 8, Mulvathrill. 2-2. I know that you were mad at me for ranking you so low last week, but going into last week, you were the 8th ranked team. You had the second least amount of points scored. I felt like that was appropriate ranking, and I still do, because you look at your wide receivers, and Allen and Woods is a problem. You need Judy back. Aside from Jacoby Myers, you don't have a consistent wide receiver on your roster. The good news is Josh Allen's on a roll, and your running backs are obviously very good. But yeah, overall, probably the 8th best team right now. Let's see what happens with Trey Lance. I think he might be fantasy relevant before too long. Number 7, yesterday's corn. If you think these rankings look fairly familiar, they're not a lot of change at the bottom. Staying at number 7, finally get a win. I think this is a good roster, although you have to contend with Chris Carson potentially missing this week. You have some depth to sustain that. You could plug in a wide receiver and go with 3 wide receiver lineup, or, starting Fournette wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. He's bound to have one of those Leonard Fournette weeks sooner or later. Apart from tight end, I like this team. Number 6, Homies. Dropped you down a few notches after a 41-point performance. Claypool gets hurt. Derrick Henry's going. Jamar Chase continues to score touchdowns. I think a Kyle Pitts breakout is coming. But after that, man, it's not pretty. I think if you added up the total fantasy points produced from Akers, Coleman, Evans, Hubbard, Ty Johnson, Jamal Williams, Crowder, Gabe Davis, Will Fuller, Croft, and then your backup kicker and defense the rest of the season, and then played it against one team, I don't think that for the rest of the year will outscore a 1-week league average. That's how bad the rest of your roster is. Number 5, Tommy's Terminators. 3-1. I think I bumped you up 1 spot. Interesting that Eckler's rolling now. He's the RB2 overall in all of fantasy. Jonathan Taylor finally gets over 100 yards and finds the end zone. DJ Moore continues to be very good. CeeDee Lamb, I think his time is coming. They're only throwing like 25 times a game right now. I think that's going to change. Logan Thomas goes to IR. Jared Cook obviously had a big week, and then Ertz is still someone you could start if you had to, but maybe tight end concerns. I don't know how long. I mean, we know that Thomas is out at least 3 weeks. And you better hope that Russ keeps cooking, because your backup quarterback situation is not pretty. Maybe you need to trade for one of those. Number 4, Stunt Cock. 3-1. I'm worried about this. Like, the fact that Dalvin played last week was bad. Like, they should have just set him on. I know it's a big game. You got to beat the Browns. He didn't look good. And now this ankle issue is lingering. He hasn't practiced yet this week. It bothers me. There's nothing worse than having the starter and the backup, and they play the starter hurt, because now you have 2 guys who are not going to produce in fantasy, and that's kind of what happened to me last week. I don't know who my wide receiver 2 is. Is it Amari Cooper? Is it Michael Pittman? Is it Laviska Shenault? I know it's not Allen Robinson. What a bad pick that was. Hurts is looking dependable. My Philly running backs, I don't know why that says Foo running backs, because I can't type. Philly running backs, I hope that Gainwell just wins the job away from Sanders and that Philly runs the ball a little bit more. Number 3, Team Man Gravy. We know Kyler's a elite. Kenny Galladay, spelled that wrong too. He gets going. Debo's getting it done. And then the one guy who I would be tempted to start if I was you, I think Goddard scored last week, but Dalton Schultz. He's only 25 years old. He's producing. He's a good player. So you got some tight end depth that is enviable. Maybe you can spin one of those to someone who needs a tight end. Number 2, Juchi's Giant Jocks. Yes, Sean, most points scored. Let's send it 2-2. That's got to be a little disappointing, particularly now that your best running back is hurt and will miss probably multiple weeks. I mean, I'd be tempted to just say you could put Chase Edmonds in there and play him, but obviously James Conner has been a touchdown vulture all season long. And then we're back to seeing this Tyler Lockett roller coaster where he puts up just monstrous weeks and then doesn't do a whole lot else. It was nice to see Darren Waller scored again. You can always count on Travis Kelce. This team is good and deep and all that, but a couple of question marks. That's why I took you off the top spot, which brings us to number 1, Senior Ass. Rob, sitting at 3-1. The Tampa stack working out. The Brady Evans thing is obviously working out. And then Aaron Jones has been really good. I think Javante's time is coming. Terry McLaurin looks like he's just super good. And it's translating into fantasy production too. Whoops. Darnell Mooney over 100 yards. That was interesting. Mike Williams came back to earth a little bit. He didn't get hurt, but didn't do much. I do wonder what Kittle's production is going to look like now that Trey Lance is the quarterback. And yeah, Freiermuth scored the other week. I don't think you're flip-flopping them in your lineup, but Kittle as an elite tight end with Lance at quarterback, I'm not convinced. Okay, now it is time for the one and only award-winning and historically very, very accurate predictions. Movathrill upsets baby brother 71-65 over Senior Ass. Interesting that the line on that is even. Juchi's Giant Jocks over Stern Rake 66-56, beating the spread. Tommy's Terminators shows stunt cock who's boss 72-54. Team Man Gravy continues to put the condiments on every part of the meal. 58-51 over Homies. Weapons of Matt's Distraction. Nice name, not. Finally gets in the win column because Patrick Mahomes is not an entire team. Over former MVP Power, 60-48. And finally, yesterday's corn by a Colonel over Tuckfest, 64-63. All right, gents, that's the way I see it. Good luck to everyone this week, except Tom. I hope your team stinks. Bye-bye.